Welcome to the Mindset Mile podcast, the show that'll leave you empowered to take action towards becoming the turned up version of your already awesome self. I'm your host, Aisha Zaza, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's go. Hello, friend, and welcome back to another episode of the Mindset Mile podcast. This episode is for my high achievers. I really wasn't sure what to call this episode because it really is going to speak to the double-edged sword of being a high achiever and having really high ambitions and having a go-getter personality. And I think from the outside, it can look like everything is easy and that there's no fear involved and that people with go-getter and type A personalities just don't run into the same roadblocks maybe as someone who is more reserved. But the truth is there's a lot of feelings that come with having a high-achieving personality. And I really wanted to just normalize the fear, doubt, and overwhelm that can parallel the excitement, determination, and confidence that comes with having high ambitions and goals. Having a high-achieving go-getter personality really has served me in a lot of ways. And it's kind of interesting because when you look at how our personalities are formed and why we are the way that we are, there's really two things to consider. There's the temperament, right, that we were born with, and then there's our environment, which is the people and the environments in which we were surrounded with growing up that are going to shape how we are as people, right? So having a high achieving go-getter personality, it has really served me in a lot of ways. And if you share similar traits, then I'm sure you would agree that you're able to see the possibility in almost anything that comes into your mind that you feel inclined to pursue. And it's not because you're skilled at it or because it's something you've done thousands of times before, but because you know that ultimately everything is figure outable and that once you decide to do something, like that's it. And it's exhilarating to have a vision and then get to executing it. It really is so life-giving to that personality trait. And I know that the way that I'm talking about it makes it sound like, what needs to be done is something really large scale. But this type of drive is not just reserved for big scale things like developing a product or like starting a business or a nonprofit organization. It really can be anything from a fitness goal to planning an international trip or making a lifestyle change. It's really the act of going after or doing something big, regardless of why everything in life is trying to tell you that now is not the right time or that it won't be possible because XYZ. And this type of perseverance and drive really has probably led you to do some really incredible things in your life. Most of the time, I consider it an attribute. But there are times that I do feel this double-edged sword of having high ambitions, and I've been made acutely more aware of it since having my kids. Because there's still me. Like, I haven't changed who I am. Like, the core of me really hasn't changed since becoming a parent. I still have these grandiose ideas and things I want to do, but my life has changed in that I'm more limited with my time, energy, and bandwidth, which often will have me thinking in absolutes. So like when things are going well, I feel kind of unstoppable, right? But then if things are not going very smoothly, I tend to think that it's just everything that I'm doing outside of like parenting is kind of a waste of time. Let me give you an example. So for instance, if I go through a few days or a week where the schedule doesn't go smoothly, or let's say there's a day or two less of childcare due to a holiday or someone being sick, and it sets me back from getting anything done work-wise until like Wednesday or Thursday of the calendar week, which even though I may have still gotten to like one or two important things, it still leaves me like wildly behind. And I tend to think I'm just never going to have time to actually see through these business ideas and business projects. And then I start to question, like, what is the point of putting any effort into things outside of parenting and managing myself and my household? Because the effort and time I have to put into these creative endeavors feels like a drop in the bucket. And when you're a high achiever, getting too few things done for a goal in too long of a stretch of time can make you question your abilities, your belief, and if it was ever a good idea in the first place. Something I learned recently that blew my mind is that the indoor air we breathe is 2 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air. And in some cases, up to 100 times more polluted, according to the EPA. And air pollution is responsible for nearly 7 million premature deaths globally. We've personally been using an air purifier in our home for a few years, but I haven't appreciated how much work it was doing until now. The Air Doctor is an air purifier that filters out 99.99% of dangerous contaminants so that your lungs don't have to. This includes pollutants such as allergens, pollen, pet dander, dust mite, mold spores, and even bacteria and viruses that make you sick. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day breathe easy money back guarantee. So if you don't love it, just send it back for a refund minus the shipping. Head to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code MindsetMile to receive up to $300 off air purifiers. And exclusive to podcast customers, you will also receive a free 3-year warranty on any unit, which is an additional $84 value. Go get your Air Doctor purifier today at Air Doctor Pro. That's AIRDOCTORPRO.com and use code MindsetMile. So in short, high achievers have some really tough inner critics. And I know I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but here's the lesson. Whether you have that go-getter drive or are a more reserved and calculated person, having big dreams and goals and ambitions is supposed to feel scary and daunting, no matter what your schedule is or no matter what the limitations are that are going to be presented to you on that path. It's supposed to feel heavy. I think it appears that people that have a high follow-through rate must feel like no fear or doubt along the way, but that is far from the truth. Anytime you set the bar high, it comes with a bigger probability to feel doubt because often there's little to no blueprint on what you're doing. You're not going to feel like you know what you're doing. And you realize once you start getting to work or learning about this new venture that you want to do, just how much work it's going to take to complete that ambitious goal. And it comes down to feeling those big, scary feelings and then just kind of compartmentalizing them. That's really the difference between people who stop when they feel fear or like something isn't possible and the people who do it anyway. And I want to encourage you to be a person that does it anyway. Those feelings are going to be there, but they don't need to dictate your next move. They're going to be there, but it doesn't mean they're true. It's discerning the feeling from the action you choose to take. So the feeling might be, I'm never going to have time to do any of this. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Who in the world do I think I am trying to help people with my product or my service? Or if I can't do this much by this time, then I might as well not do any of it at all. Versus abandoning that all or nothing mindset and realizing that if you're overwhelmed or frustrated, that it's okay to stop and take a break. Take a walk. Go get a pep talk from your spouse or your peer or your best friend. Find something to disrupt that train of thought that says that you should be too afraid to keep pursuing these ambitions. It'll be messy and frustrating, and sometimes it's going to be tiring or even draining. But ultimately, the completion of whatever it is that you want to do is going to fill you up tenfold. It's that type 2 fun I love. And maybe you've discovered through this podcast even that you're a little addicted to that type 2 fun as well. Because after it's all said and done, you will never regret the chances you take on yourself. And the world will be a better place because of it. So if you're a high achiever and feel overwhelmed sometimes by the big things that you want to do in your life, it is absolutely normal to feel daunted by them, okay? But use that excitement. Underneath that, you're really excited to tap away at all of it. So I really hope that this helps you maneuver and navigate through some of those overwhelming feelings of being an ambitious person with really high bars that you set for yourself. It is okay. There's nothing wrong with you for setting the bar too high. Because if anything, these big goals and these tall bars that we set, they're going to stretch you. You're going to reach for them. They're going to stretch you farther than you would had you not set the bar that high. It doesn't matter where the bar is set. You're always going to reach for wherever the bar is. So if that bar is lower, you're going to get less done, right? Or you're going to be less ambitious towards it. But if the bar is higher, it's all proportionate. So I really hope that this episode speaks to you. If it does, please tag me on social media so I can see you at Aisha Zaza, and I cannot wait to see you next week. Until then, make it a great day.